Beautiful day, Patriots. We're just going to talk a little story. You're going to see these signs everywhere, obviously, right? The pyramid and the all seeing eye on top. And the only thing that can break you free of that is the blood of Jesus Christ. Under these mountains, we have the earth, but there's other things underneath the earth that has an existence. And what we're going to do and talk about right now is that time, uh, history and time being stolen. And people want to say that there's all kinds of different ways, time machines, let's say, or just whatever. I'm going to give you a story, and it's not true. It's just a story of me looking at things all over the world and then just kind of putting a story together and to see if we are seeing our true history. Now we know that these, like the castles in Europe and all, and the cathedrals around the world. I mean, we're being told that these things are being done by chisels, hammer, and hand saws, and just the crudest, roughest of tools. And I'm not saying it couldn't be done, but they're saying it's being done in a time frame that's just incredible. And again, it's all over the world. It's all over the world. And the buildings are being built larger than for human beings of our size and stature. Okay? Okay. So we're just going to say that there's one of our first clues is that the buildings and architecture around the world is just really bizarre how these cathedrals match up. What is China doing with hundreds of cathedrals? How is that possible? But maybe they weren't cathedrals to begin with, right? They just put a cross on it and then say it's a cathedral, and we will be blinded by that, okay? So we're trying to see how time could be, erased from people's history. I've talked about how in China they've got these cities that are completely built, ready to go, and empty, full of people. That's the future. They've got cities already built, ready to accept people. If we look in our past, at the assailant asylums, they're just absolutely huge, just absolutely astonishingly huge. The other thing that's really bizarre is when we look back in our history is orphanages. And when these orphanages would show up, there's like an incredible amount of children that we are being told that were parentless. Where did the parents go? Did they go insane? And then a government round up all the parents and put them in here that couldn't follow along with the new narrative and put them in a sane asylum? Then they take the children and they move them into a brand new city, brand new school, Ask the Native Indians if that works. Ask the Native Indians if it's possible to take people from their native or from where they're born and raised and live, transfer to a new place, be taken away from their parents, and then be told an education. And then when they come back, some of their parents are gone. Some of the parents that stayed, their children are gone to never be seen again. It works both ways. So to start a new generation of slaves, you could be doing it every 100 years, every 200 years, every 300 years, every so often. Very, very super, super quickly and easily. And we can see these kind of evidences within the buildings in our past. You take and put the people in the assailant asylum, and you separate the men and the women. The men labor till they die. The women are bred and produce more children to sustain more slaves for the new school education doctrine system. If we start wars and cause wars, we can go around the world and say, oh, it was the enemy that came in and destroyed all the evidence, the physical evidence of the existence that the children may or may not remember. So there is no longer that city. They build it up in a different way, stealing the history. I'm just telling you a story. It's just a story. Okay? Of how it's possible how these things can and be done. We know in World War I, or was it one? They gave the disease to the American soldiers, sent them over the seas, fought the war, and when they came back with the disease, they blamed it on the Europeans, and it spread, plagued everywhere. The governments have been doing some really, really, really weird things. So again, if the truth, Q says that if people knew the truth, 99% of the people that knew the truth would be put into a hospital. What kind of a hospital? A mental hospital. It wouldn't be a physical hospital. And what kind of truth would be put you into a insanity? Most likely, if the truth is too big for you to handle, your brain has a mechanism that clicks off and doesn't allow you to hear it or comprehend it. God is wonderful. Or to be able to just ignore it and move forward without it affecting your life and continue being a slave. That's how the brain works. We can overlook tragedies and things and not see the truth that's right in front of our face. Our brains do that to us. So if Q said 99% of the people would be put into a hospital that knew the truth, could this story say that if they're getting ready for a new reset, like they've done many, many times in the past, that if anybody knew the truth, they would be put into a hospital? They would be put into a hospital. You see, with the wars, especially with World War II, it was a big thing about the extermination and genocide of people. And so they use these camps. They call them camps, extermination camps. And they show how primitive and small these little tiny barbed wire fences with the posts at the back, and how easily it would be to escape, double fences and stuff, and these crude buildings that prisoners would sleep in and stuff. And then, of course, the showers, with the big old burn tower. And then that's how we see extermination camps, just like this, and only like this, really crude and rude and built up really quick. That could only hide so many people, and people would be able to, and we can see, we would never let this happen again. We would never let it happen again. Again, I encourage you, or I dare you, to study buildings of asylums of all around the world. And ask yourself, what in the world would require a building to be built this incredibly large to house insane people? And again, at the same time, why were there so many orphanages? These are the type of histories that they're just not going to teach you or show you, and will even scrub off the internet if it gets too popular. But it's up to you to understand and see what's happening. If 99% of the people are be put in the hospital for knowing the truth, what if you knew that you were fighting for a system that doesn't have anything to do with your best interest? It's like a cow that's trapped inside the farmer's fence. That cow's awake and he's trying to tell all the other cows, hey man, we're all getting ready to go to the slaughterhouse. What good does it do this guy? Let's scratch this whole page. I got a brain fart and I don't remember how I was going to tie that in and finish off this video of, people screaming to the slaughter. Oh, okay. And so all these other cows are sitting there saying, no, the farmer, He's got our best interest. Look at, he brings us water every day. He brings us food every day. Look at, he keeps a fence around us and protects us from the enemies and all the wolves and stuff. When the farmer is the wolf.